On the night of August 22nd, 2025, 23-year-old Iryna Zarutska got on the Lynx Blue Line light rail after her shift at Zepedee's Pizzeria. She took the first seat she saw right in front of DeCarlos Brown. She put her head down and quietly looked at her phone, trying to appear as small and innocuous as possible. After a few minutes, Brown removed a knife from his pocket, pulled out the blade, and slashed Iryna's throat. This is the story of how a Ukrainian refugee found herself dead and all alone in the world on the footwell of a Charlotte, North Carolina light rail. This is the murder of Iryna Zarutska. Iryna was born in Kiev, Ukraine on May 22, 2002. She had always been interested in art, and she created sculptures and sketches, something her parents Stanislav and Anna had encouraged in her. She even graduated from Synergy College with a degree in art and restoration. After Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, Iryna, her mother, a brother, and sister emigrated to the United States. Her father couldn't immigrate with them because he was eligible for military service in Ukraine. He, of course, thought that he was sending Iryna to America where she would be safe, but little did he know that he would never see her again. After settling in Charlotte, North Carolina, Iryna quickly learned English. Due to her love of animals, she wanted to become a veterinarian assistant. To help support her family, she got a job at Zepedee's Pizzeria. She was learning to drive, but relied on the city's light rail systems to get around until she could get her license. After getting off her shift that night, Iryna got on the light rail. She looked around the train car and realized she was surrounded by people who looked nothing like her. She had survived a war and had spent time in bomb shelters, but somehow remained optimistic and open-minded. Maybe she'd seen the movie Joker, written and directed by Todd Phillips Boonzel and co-written by Scott Silver, which depicts well-dressed white men as the real threats on public transportation. Maybe she'd seen Jon Stewart talk about the problem with white people.
The problem with white people.
Or she'd heard Sarah Silverman talk about the scourge of white privilege.
Having to be the best one for the job is the case for everyone now, and not just everyone but white men.
Or maybe she'd seen studies from Jonathan Greenblatt's ADL screeching about white supremacy while his organization runs propaganda for the Jewish state's genocide of Palestinians.
I don't think it's a genocide.
Or maybe the man who butchered her, DeCarlos Brown, had been exposed to that content. Maybe this explains why Brown, who grew up and lived around blacks, walked past several blacks that day, sat down in a train car filled with blacks, decided to murder the one white girl and no one else. Maybe this explains why he said, Brown had schizophrenia, but schizophrenia doesn't make you commit a racial murder. He had been arrested 14 times before he murdered Iryna. Activist judges did little to keep the community safe from Brown. In the video of the murder, Brown pulls out his pocket knife, stands up, holds the side of Iryna's head to expose her carotid artery, then slashes at her throat 3 times. He then walks to the exit of the bus with her blood dripping along the way. During the first few seconds, Iryna was experiencing an acute stress response. She felt a burning sensation across her throat, but still hadn't had enough time to process what's happened or panic. Next, she felt a warm gush pouring out of her neck and realized that there's nothing she can do to stop it. Now she would be panicking, but she couldn't scream due to vocal cord spasms or because her vocal cords were filling with blood. Next, the hypovolemic shock kicked in, and she likely felt a drowning sensation as the blood began to drip into her lungs. She may now notice that she's not breathing anymore, but gurgling, her vision's also beginning to blur. At this moment, she fully realizes that she's going to die alone on a train in a strange place filled with strange people a long way from home. She looks around at the onlookers staring back at her like she's an annoyance or inconvenience to them. The blurriness sets in more, and their faces turn to smudges. She's suddenly thirsty as her body rapidly dehydrates. Now the panic has become overwhelming, and still everything probably seems a little bit surreal at the same time. After about 20 seconds, she succumbs to weakness. She leans to her left, away from the spectators on the train, and melts down with her face in the filth of the city train's footwell, one hand still on her phone, the last point of contact to the people she knew and loved, a device that probably felt more human to her than the other passengers who watched her die without even bothering to get up from their seats. She dies shortly after, and her blood runs out and onto the floor. Meanwhile, Brown wanders around the train, Iryna's blood dripping everywhere, repeating to himself, "I got that white girl. I got that white girl." The other passengers on that train step past her, making sure to not get her blood on their shoes on the way out. It's not until 2 minutes later that anyone even bothers trying to help her. They really don't want these murders shown to the public. The murder of Austin Metcalf was a similar case. The killing was caught on camera, but they have no plans to ever release the footage. The story of Iryna's murder initially didn't make much headway until the Charlotte area transit system made the video public, which resulted in outrage. Pretty soon, everyone was talking about it. Everyone but the mainstream media and the social media personalities with Ukrainian flags in their bios. Charlotte Mayor Viola Lies was too busy focusing on racial initiatives to bother herself with the murder. One of her initiatives was pilfering $250 million from taxpayers to fund the advancement of black leaders and leaders of color. And when the murder finally did come up, she ate cake. She also discouraged anyone from sharing the video. Once the slaughter had gone viral on social media, mostly on X, the mainstream media did eventually manage to cover the story, but only after relentless pressure. Of course, they framed the narrative. The aftermath wasn't just outrage. A memorial left for Iryna and Charlie Kirk was desecrated in Vienna, Austria, likely by Antifa. There were also memes online mocking her, much as we saw after the Charlie Kirk murder. There was even a GoFundMe set up for the killer, just like there was for Carmelo Anthony after he murdered Austin Metcalf. DeCarlos Brown was sent to Central Regional Hospital instead of prison on the orders of Judge Roy Wiggins. Unlike the death of George Floyd, who was a violent crackhead and career criminal, American cities weren't burned to the ground, as the domestic terrorist group BLM had done. Instead, there would be murals of Iryna. Owen McCabe offered to donate $500,000 to put murals of Iryna up all over major American cities. Elon Musk also vowed to donate $1 million to the cause. I hope they remember their promises. Unfortunately, Iryna's murder was overshadowed by another high-profile murder after Charlie Kirk was killed by a left-wing trans chaser. Despite the unfortunate series of evil, we don't want to forget Iryna or why she died. And if we're going to memorialize Iryna or Charlie, we may have to make some room.
She